Hi there, I'm Grandma, and today I'm going to read you a book, Curious George. This is the very first Curious George book, and so this tells us the story of how he finds the man in the yellow hat and how they come to be friends and live in the same place. And so here we go. You open the front cover and look, there's a picture of George with the yellow hat. So here's the story. It says, "This is George. Here he is. He lives in Africa. He was a good little monkey and always very curious." One day, George saw a man. He had on a large yellow hat. The man saw George too. "What a nice little monkey," he thought. "I would like to take him home with me." He put his hat on the ground, and of course, George was curious. He came down from the tree to look at the large yellow hat. The hat had been on the man's head. George thought it would be nice to have it on his own head. He picked it up and put it on. The hat covered George's head. He couldn't see. The man picked him up quickly and popped him into a bag. George was caught. See, there's the man picking him up, and there he is in the bag. The man with the big yellow hat put George into a little boat, and a sailor rowed them both across the water to a big ship. George was sad, but he was still a little curious. See, look, there's the big boat over there. That's what they're going to ride on to get home. Okay, let's turn the page. It says, "On the big ship, things began to happen. The man took off the bag. George sat on a little stool, and the man said, 'George, I'm going to take you to a big zoo in a big city. You will like it there. Now run along and play, but don't get into trouble.' George promised to be good, but it is easy for little monkeys to forget." On the desk, he found some seagulls. On the deck, he found some seagulls. He wondered how they could fly. He was very curious. Finally, he had to try. It looked easy, but look, there's George. He's going to try to fly like a bird. You think monkeys can fly? I don't think so. Oh, what happened? First this, look at him, and then this. See, he fell right in the water because monkeys can't fly. "Where is George?" The sailors looked and looked. At last they saw him struggling in the water and almost all tired out. "Man overboard," the sailors cried as they threw him a life belt. George caught it and held on. At last, he was safe on board. See, they threw that down there so they could get George back up. It says, after that, George was more careful to be a good monkey until at last the long trip was over. George said goodbye to the kind sailors, and he and the man with the yellow hat walked off the ship onto the shore and on into the city to the man's house. So there they are, getting off the big ship. After a good meal and a good pipe, George felt very tired. Do monkeys really smoke? No, smoking's not good for you. He crawled into bed and fell asleep at once. See, look, there's George. He's just sound asleep. He even gets his own bed. The next morning, the man telephoned the zoo. George watched him. He was fascinated. Then the man went away. George was curious. He wanted to telephone too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What fun! See, look, there's George. That's how telephones used to look a long time ago. Ding-a-ling-a-ling! George had telephoned the fire station. The firemen rushed to the telephone. "Hello, hello," they said. But there was no answer. Then they looked for the signal on the big map that showed where the telephone call had come from. They didn't know it was George. They thought it was a real fire. See, they have this big special map at their office. And when someone calls, it lights up where they're calling from. They do that so the firemen can get there in time to help the people. "Hurry, hurry, hurry!" The firemen jumped onto the fire engines and on to the hook and ladders. Ding dong, everyone out of the way. Hurry, hurry. See, and it shows them all rushing to where they think the fire is. The firemen rushed into the house. They opened the door. No fire, only a naughty little monkey. Oh, catch him, they cried. George tried to run away. He almost did, but he got caught on the telephone wire. And a thin fireman caught one arm and a fat fireman caught the other. You fooled the fire department, they said. We'll have to shut you up where you can't do any more harm. They took him away and put him in prison. George wanted to get out. He climbed up to the window to try the bars. Just then the watchman came in. He got on the wooden bed to catch George. See? That's the wooden bed. But he was too big and heavy. The bed tipped up. The watchman fell over, and quick as lightning, George ran out through the open door. See, there goes George. He's running out the door. He hurried through the building and out onto the roof. And then he was lucky to be a monkey. Out he walked onto the telephone wires. Quickly and quietly over the guard's head, George walked away. He was free. See, look, there's the guard down there. And there's George walking on those telephone wires. Down the street, outside the prison wall, stood a balloon man. A little girl bought a balloon for her brother. See, there's the little girl, and she's buying a balloon for her brother. She's a nice sister, huh? George watched. He was curious again. He felt he must have a bright red balloon. He reached over and tried to help himself. See, he was trying to get a balloon down over here, but instead of one balloon, the whole bunch of balloons broke loose. In an instant, the wind whisked them all away, and with them went George, holding tight with both hands. See, look, they're carrying him up to the sky. Let's turn the page here. Up, up, up he sailed, higher and higher. The houses looked like toy houses, and the people like dolls. George was frightened. He held on very tight. At first, the wind blew in great gusts. Then it quieted. Finally, it stopped blowing altogether. George was tired. Down, down he went. Bump onto the top of the traffic light. See, he was landing up there. Everyone was surprised. The traffic got all mixed up. George didn't know what to do. And then he heard someone call, "George?" He looked down and saw his friend, the man with the big yellow hat. See, look, there's the man with the big yellow hat. He had been driving in his car. George was very happy. The man was too. George slid down the post, and the man with the big yellow hat put him under his arm. Then he paid the balloon man for all the balloons. And then George and the man climbed into the car, and at last away they went. See, look, there they go in their blue car with all the balloons. And look at the last George. They went at the last page. They went to the zoo. What a nice place for George to live. See, he got to keep a red balloon, and there he is, happy with all the other animals. I hope you like that book. You remember that I love you, and take good care. Mwah! I'll see you soon.